is, like, as I mentioned earlier, I had this wildly challenging period in my MSP where my mindset was absolute utter garbage. Like, a perfect example of my mindset at that particular point in time was I would be driving home from clients late at night in the dark, and I would be looking at headlights of cars coming at me from the opposite direction. And I'd be literally willing that car to try and come onto my side of the road and smash into my car to not kill me, but to take me out so that I'll just be lying in a hospital bed with drips hanging out of my arm or whatever, because that was a better reality than the life I was living in.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of MSP Mindset. I'm super excited to have Nigel Moore. A little bit about Nigel. I'm going to give a quick version because I'm going to ask him to talk about it, but been in the tech industry since the 90s and is the founder of the Tech Tribe and Teeth Capital, best-selling author, keynote speaker, helping entrepreneurs run tech businesses without the 70-hour grind, avid surfer, boating, swimming, snorkeling, all kinds of scuba diving and more. So, but anyway, let Nigel talk more about that.
G'day. Welcome. Thank you. I cheekily just got a surf in about 45 minutes ago, so I'm living up to that description you gave of me. I don't know about all the other things like the all that other stuff, but at least I'm living up to the surfer part of the description.
Yeah, this is awesome. I just imagine that's something you could do in Australia pretty often.
You can. I'm ridiculously lucky enough to live on the beach, and we've got an amazing surf break right out the front, and so I try to get out there as much as I can with kids and business and travel and all that stuff. It's sometimes not as easy as I'd like it to be, but I get out as much as I can. It's my mental break from things, is getting out there in the ocean and switching off. It's there's something special about sitting out in salt water waiting for a wave with no technology, no people, no humans, no anything apart from you and the ocean. And today it was me and a seal. I had this little seal pop up beside me and poke his head out of the water, which was super cool.
That is really cool. Yeah, no technology to worry about having to think about take a picture.
None. Nope, exactly.
That's cool. Well, probably most people are familiar, but if you don't mind, just tell us about let's go all the way back. Let's talk about your experience as an MSP before we get to what you're doing now.
Yeah, awesome. So I started in the MSP world in it was either 2002 or 2003. I can't actually remember the year, but I started working for another MSP, which wasn't really an MSP. Then it was a break fix company. And I worked for that for 6 years till about 2008. During that time, I ended up I ran the thing for them and learned a heck of a lot. That was when I first had our first foray into managed services or fixed fee billing. And the way I did that, I had no idea this whole industry of managed services existed, like most of us didn't back then. And so I just thought, and it's funny, I'm talking to you because it was about backups. I just thought, I'm just going to do this thing where each month I'm just going to bill our clients for checking their backups, for just doing a human test of their backups. And I'm going to bill them in advance for it. And stupid me, because I was young and dumb, didn't even tell them. Like, I literally just started sending them these invoices. Just said the invoice was like proactive backup monitor or backup testing or something. And you can imagine that I got a bunch of complaints from people saying, dude, like,
how'd that go?
What's
over?
This? Right. Yeah, like I didn't agree to this. Right. So that was my first foray into managed services. I probably did that in about 2004, stupidly. But 2008, by a crazy turn of events, I ended up owning my own MSP and having a bunch of clients and ran that for many years. Made every single mistake under the sun that could possibly be made and more, and probably made a lot of them twice and three times. I don't learn very well sometimes. And in 2016 or 2014, a friend and me who were in a peer group together, we joined our MSPs together. And we worked for another couple of years, setting them up and integrating and putting in some really good management level staff in there. And we ended up selling that, the combined MSP in 2016. And then in 2017, I kicked off and launched the Tech Tribe, which is a community of MSPs and a program for MSPs all around the world, where we essentially teach them how to avoid all the stupid crap that I did wrong in the years that I was running mine. And my initial thoughts of that was to just build a nice little community and business with maybe 500 members or something in there. And here we are today at 4,000 something members, and I think we've got nearly 11,000 people in the community across all their teams, like 4,000 MSPs and about 11,000 actual people inside our community. And we're building and creating and loading and creating lots of different things to help them out all day, every day. And I'm still loving the journey, and it's a crazy, wild journey in vendor land as well, being a vendor to MSPs, but still love the industry and still hang out in it and still make a lot of mistakes. And I'm sure I'll have another business after this one where I teach them how to avoid all the stupid mistakes I made in this business out there somewhere along the way. But that's in a nutshell my journey. That's as succinct as you can make it in a few minutes. But there was a lot going on there.
We were talking backstage. I want to talk about this. So this is called MSP mindset. I'm a big believer in, if you change your mindset, you can change your world. You were talking about mindset, right? It's a big thing. So tell me about how you even came to think about mindset, maybe some of the struggles that brought you there.
Yeah, good question. Like, to me, I'm share your philosophy that mindset is everything. Like the root cause of nearly every challenge and problem we have in our MSPs or in our business or in our life comes down to our belief patterns and how we believe and see the world, and what we believe about the world to be true. And over the years, like as I mentioned earlier, I had this wildly challenging period in my MSP where my mindset was absolute utter garbage, and I would wake up every day. Or actually, even like a perfect example of my mindset at that particular point in time was I would be driving home from clients late at night in the dark, and I would be looking at headlights of cars coming at me from the opposite direction, and I'd be literally willing that car to try and come onto my side of the road and smash into my car to not kill me, but to take me out so that I'll just be lying in a hospital bed with drips hanging out of my arm or whatever, because that was a better reality than the life I was living in. And that was my mind was like that. It was like those sort of thoughts going through my mind all day, every day. Or hey, I just got to get out of this world. I hate everything that's happening and everything around me. And at the time, when we were growing up here in the local area, I used to work at Pizza Hut, like every IT person worked at a pizza shop pretty much. But I used to work at the local Pizza Hut, and as I was working there, a year or two into when I was working there, we had this guy turn up that was kind of he was a year younger than me, but completely tattooed all over and kind of from the wrong side of the tracks, and had come from a hard upbringing or whatever. And we became really, really close friends. And he didn't have a dad, and he kind of, like, my family kind of brought him in as our brother from another mother. And my brother became really good friends with him as well. And we used to hang out every day and whatever as we were kids. And we still kept in touch as we were older and hung out and whatnot. But he went through a horrible time and made a couple of bad choices and went to jail for a few years and came out and had a rough time afterwards as well with a big injury. And ultimately he ended up taking his own life. And so we lost our brother from another mother. And I was looking going to, there was no funeral. I think there was just my family and his family at the funeral. There was nobody else there. It was like a showing. And I'm sitting there looking at like, it was a kind of an open casket thing. And I'm just sitting there looking at it going, my goodness, Moa, like, what brought you here? Like, what brought you there? And then the thoughts start going through my mind is like, am I on a similar journey? Like, like, I used to be happy, like I was happy at every chance as while I was a kid, and I used to love life and love the beach and whatever. And I just lost that love of everything. And I'm like, I'm not thinking the level that he was thinking now, but I'm thinking these thoughts about cars taking me out and all sorts of crap like that. Right. And so that was another one of the impetuses for me, just starting to pull my head in and trying to make some changes. And as I said, I went to a doctor, and they went through all the stuff and said, yep, depression, here's some pills, that solves everything, right? And I'm like, oh crap! Like, you hear all these stories of like that you just don't become you once you get on the pills. And I remember taking them for the first night and lying in bed and just feeling this feeling going on in my head, going, that's not like, while I'm feeling like crap at the moment, that's also crap. Like, there's got to be something better than this out there. And I was drinking very heavily at the time, as I said, and I was kind of lucky that I stumbled across this other, like this business community that I was talking about, and came across people that were loving life in business, and they'd created their businesses in their own way. And so I'm like if somebody else can, then I can. Like, I might not believe it just yet, but I can start. And so that kind of just gave me that enough of an energy to just start digging and start going, all right, time to make some different decisions here, Nigel. You've made all these decisions that have got you to where you are now. You're in a crap spot. You got to start making some different decisions. And so I did, and started working on that mindset. And I ended up soon after, I was working with a mindset coach that I'd come across that started diving deep into some of my belief patterns around things, and some of where, especially my belief patterns around myself and my self-worth. And I started working a fair bit on that. And the more I worked on that, the more I noticed that I'd wake up in the mornings and go, it's not that bad today. At the end of the day, I go, that wasn't a bad day today. I don't need a drink anymore to numb the pain. And so it was slow. It didn't happen overnight, but after 2 or 3 or 4 months of starting to do this stuff, I'm like, hey, I can actually see and feel a difference in there. And so then I tend to go hard and fast into something when I feel some momentum in something. So then I went pretty deep into it and started spending like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in coaches and whatever, and going deep into all different types of modalities out there and whatever, just to see how far you can go. And started learning a bunch of different things around where I was coming up with self-worth patterns, and all my, like, realizing how important and how influential our childhood experiences are in who we are today and the decisions we make today. And started realizing, like, I was the redheaded geek in school with the name of Nigel. So I was the redheaded rat rooting Nigel no friends in school. And so I was picked on a fair bit, especially in primary school. In high school, I was also bullied a fair bit. And so I ended up having a pretty horrible sense of self-worth about myself out of that, and thinking like, I'm never going to be able to build anything or amount to anything. And that kind of stayed with me. Even as I was building businesses, I still operated from that frame that, hey, you're building here and you're having a go, but you ain't going to be able to do anything good, because you might be able to build something small. And that was the work that I had to do, was to build and reprogram those beliefs. And I realized that our minds are, like, you come across this thing like neuroplasticity or whatever you want to call it, but reality is that our minds are completely malleable, and our belief systems are completely malleable and completely changeable, and we can upgrade them just like we can upgrade an operating system in a computer. And you can load your patches and you can do all this stuff and you can find the bugs and you can solve those bugs. And so once I realized that, hey, everything in here is not finite, like, it can absolutely change and upgrade and go through all these different things over time, that was kind of a real big impetus for me, then believing that I can change rapidly and drastically and completely then. And then you start to get to the point where you have made some big changes, and you look back 2 or 3 or 4 years and you sit in the space of the Nigel that existed back then, and you go, that's really a completely different person. I am a completely different human being. Sure, I'm sharing the same sack of meat as a body, but my belief systems and patterns around the world are the opposite to what they were years ago. And that just blew my mind. Like, we've all got this consciousness that travels along with us all the time, but that consciousness's beliefs that it deals with can absolutely change like crazy as you go through your beliefs about yourself and your confidence about yourself. And so I think that 3 or 4 or 5 years, it was kind of a long transition period for me. It didn't, like, as I said, it's not an overnight change, but that 3 or 4 or 5 years was huge for me. I look back even now to 10 years ago and just think, holy crap, like, that human is just not me. Like, how did that human make those decisions and do those things? It's not even close to me. And that's an important thing for me to keep reflecting on, because it then also gives me the realization and the confidence that even now, Nigel now has got a bunch of beliefs and patterns and things that are serving him well, and also a bunch of beliefs and patterns and whatever that are serving him and the world horribly. And so it's a continual journey for me, finding out what they are and digging into the little ones that are causing problems and trying to shed some of the bad ones and create new ones and whatnot. I think that's just, it's life for me now. And I think it's life for all of us is growth and figuring out how we can become a better version of ourselves to help those around us and to show up for the people that we serve in the world out there, and to make the world a better place in whatever way, shape or form we do it. Be it a tuk-tuk driver in Thailand showing up every day, loving his life, to an MSP owner, to the founder of a multi-billion-dollar company, to someone that started a crazy charity that's solving polio, whatever it is. Like, we've all got our little impact that we can have on the world. And I think, to me, life is all about continually just becoming that better person of that, and finding out what it is and stretching ourselves to the next part of the challenge to continually increase our impact in what we're doing out there. And I enjoy it, and I'm challenged by it, and it drives me crazy. Because I think each layer that you go up, you get hit with bigger challenges too, right? Like, you go, oh crap, like, 10 years ago, Nigel, if that challenge hit him, he would have fallen in a heap on the floor and stayed in the fetal position for a week. But now it's hitting you and you're laughing about it. It's still challenging, but you laugh about it. And so we then get hit with bigger ones to help us, like whether it's the universe or whatever you want to call it, doing it. It's just to help us grow and whatever as a human.
So I talked to a lot of people that say, I'm in a, like you said, it's the words, it's the frame, use the word frame, right? They're in the mindset, in the frame of mind that I can't, or I'll only get this big, or I'll just stay at one person shop, or even more personal. I'm not good enough. I was never good enough. I'll always be this. So is there, what changed that? I know it took years, but help unpack some of that. I'd love to hear anything that's like, this book, this thought process, this mindset helped me start to reframe or improve. Or
you know what? There's probably a lot of different factors that went into it, but you know what the biggest thing is the thank you from the other people that I've helped out there, and people saying, hey, you changed my world because of X. And to me, that started to then create those new patterns or rewire those new patterns around, hey, Nigel, you are worthy. You've just gone and helped this person have something better in their life. That's huge. Like that person wakes up every day in a better spot because of you, Nigel. And so to me, there was all these books, and like I've gone pretty deep in a bunch of all the books and whatever, and you get bits and pieces from all of them. But I think the real biggest parts of the impact came from just doing the work, like getting out there and having a bigger impact and hearing the results from that impact out there. And that kind of it nearly fueled it into an addiction. It's like, oh, I like hearing this stuff. I can hear this stuff every day. It used to be alcohol that used to be the addiction to make me feel good. Now the feel good is getting thank you notes from people because I've helped them out in their world. And that just kept stacking and stacking and stacking. And so I think there's tons of, like, I went down all of the Brendan Burchards, the Tony Robbins, the John, like even deeper to the John DeMartinis and all of those kind of different folk that are in the personal development world, and some of them go a little bit woo-woo in there as well, and you get kind of into the crazy end of the woo-woo scale and whatnot. And I went down all of those different things, and I've learned bits and pieces out of all of them out there that have helped me understand how our brains work and give me the confidence to think bigger and to do bigger and whatnot. But I think the biggest thing, as I said, was just doing it, getting in and just having tiny little wins and just figuring out a tiny little win and sitting and being grateful for that win and saying, hey, that might only be small. I might have only helped one person there do one thing, but they just said, hey, thank you. That changed my world. That's a little win that went, hey, that's awesome. You created something awesome in someone else's world. Well done. I sat in gratitude with that, and that all adds up. One other big thing that I will add in there is that I also started doing whatever I could to hang around other people doing bigger things in their world as well. And when I grew up, as I said, I grew up working at Pizza Hut, and we used to drive around at night times doing stupid stuff, getting chased by cops and all sorts of craziness. So I wasn't in the best of groups growing up, but I realized
I can relate to that, unfortunately. Yeah.
I think a lot of us can.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. There's a few things that I'm surprised I didn't end up in jail. I'm very lucky that I didn't as a kid. Yeah. But as I went through over the years and getting into different peer groups and whatnot, that other thing that had the biggest impact on me having that or upgrading my beliefs about myself was getting around other people that are doing that bigger and better things in the world. And I think it was was it Brian Tracy that said that you are the same as the five people around you, or whatever it is. I'm butchering the phrase, but there's that very common phrase that you become the output of the five closest people to you. And whilst it's probably not five or whatever, but it's so true that the people that you hang around and the groups that you are around, like to me, it's you're upgrading all your mindset in here, which is like a computer adding patches and upgrading operating systems. But it also is not going to run, like you can have then the fastest computer in the world, but if you've got a crappy network that it's plugged into, then it's still going to be garbage, right? If you've got like the 10 base T old, whatever it is, token ring thing that you plug in your super upgraded computer into, then you're still going to struggle, right? And so then I was upgrading all the network of people around me by joining these high-level mastermind programs and just trying to hang around and be inspired by people doing bigger and better things than me and seeing them doing it and getting close to them and in mastermind environments where we're transparent with each other and open with each other. And I'm hearing their challenges and hearing that they're not these people that are up in this great big ivory tower doing things. They're people just like me. And that then just like that just adds to your beliefs around, hey, if someone just like me can do it, that's also got the same challenges and has the same belief problems or whatever, but they get through them, then I can as well. And now that I've kind of been exposed to that neuroplasticity, that we can mold our thoughts and mold our beliefs about ourselves, then I see other people doing it, then I can absolutely go down that path, and I can have the impact that they're having, or bigger out there. And once you get to that point, the world then becomes the old saying, the world then becomes your oyster. You look at the world and you go, like, I've got the confidence now to go out and do what I like to do, and have an impact and enjoy what I do as well as part of that process. And I think that's all, like, to me, it's a kind of a concatenary of all of those things kind of coming together. But the two of the main ones were upgrading the network of people that I'm around, and just going out and doing stuff that's rewarding to me, and helping others, like just getting out and helping others. Is just huge. That just filled my cup like crazy of belief and joy and all of those things, that when you've got a full cup, everything is a whole lot easier. I was saying this to some friends on the weekend. I volunteer at a local organization called Disabled Surfers, and 4 times a year we take out a bunch of people with disabilities out for a surf in the ocean. And this Saturday we did an event, and there was we had 45 people with disabilities turn up, and there was about 155 of us volunteers, and I think there's about 15 of us team leaders that have been doing it for many years. And we had an absolutely ridiculously awesome day, and we saw more smiles than you'll ever see in your lifetime on these people that just don't get a chance to get out and ride a wave and experience the joy of being out in the ocean and whatnot. We have like 30 people per person. We operate from a very safe environment doing these things, but we see all these smiles on these participants that were surfing there. But when I look around at all the people that I was team leader in one of the boards, I'm looking around all the people, and I see nearly even bigger smiles than all the volunteers there that are just out there, and they're seeing these people have joy, and they've got smiles up to here, and they come away from those days like crazy. And at the end of the day, I heard someone mention that I kind of feel a little bit what was the word they used? I feel bad that I feel so good at something like this. I feel like I've had I shouldn't be feeling good. Like, this is a public service to other people. I shouldn't be feeling good doing it. But I'm coming away with this massive full cup. And to me, like, finding environments where you can do that sort of stuff, volunteering at your local, whatever the organization happens to be, whether it's a soup kitchen or anything like that, can also be an awesome way to just fill your cup, where you're out there just serving and helping others and seeing smiles on other people's faces. And you just cannot help but come away from things like that feeling better about the world, feeling better about yourself, inspired to perhaps go and do more, and also grateful for what we have in life. Like, I look at, I'm out in the surf as much as I possibly can be, and I'm so incredibly grateful that I'm able to go and do that. I live in an area where I can do that. I'm able-bodied, so I get to go and do that. I don't need support and service, and so that just fills me with that immense gratitude, which is another one of those things that just tacks on to that building that whole beliefs about the world and whatnot. The more we're grateful for what we have and what we've got, and compared to a lot of other disadvantaged people out there, it just blows my mind. I kind of feel sometimes I feel that I'm not taking advantage of this amazing opportunity that I've been given to be able-bodied and to live in the world that I live in, and to live in Australia, and to have the experiences that I've had. Like, I sometimes still go, Nigel, you've got to take more advantage of this. Like, you are so damn lucky out there. And I honestly feel a lot of the time that I'm one of the luckiest people in the world. And I think a lot of us are, like, all of us that right, run our own businesses and have fun doing our own things. Like, we've got our struggles, but reality is, when you sit down and think about it, we're often some of the luckiest people in this entire universe. Like, this entire, maybe not the universe, because we don't know how many other things exist out there. Another podcast topic for another day. But in our world, like, we are the lucky ones. We really are, and we should be doing everything we can to take that opportunity and run with that luck and do our best back in return out there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I love the analogies, right? I love the upgrade your mindset as upgrading your OS. We can all relate to the patches, hopefully less blue screens when we upgrade our mind.
Yep.
And I love the analogy even more about the network, right? Because I definitely believe in the people, the 5 closest people, or somewhere near that you're associating with, are going to shape your reality. But the networking part just really spoke to me. Just said, yes, one MSP to another, like no matter how your system is, your network is is going to bring you down. It's going to be the slowest part. So I love that analogy. I love, and I couldn't agree more, right? Fill your cup, be grateful, be around people that are grateful. And then, the second part of if I was getting this was the mastermind, right? Get around more people, do that. What's your thoughts on where do I, if I'm an MSP, it doesn't matter if I'm 1, I'm 10, we all struggle, 100 employees, whatever. I want to upgrade my mindset. I've been fortunate like you. I've invested a lot of money, continue to invest a lot of money to be in amazing masterminds and read the books and it's been amazing. Should I be looking for one in my industry? Should I be just looking for one that just appeals to me? Is there a specific one? What's your thoughts on that?
In the early stages, if you've never been in any sort of mastermind, just find one. It's really like, I think it's probably more important in the early stages to just join one that you can relate to the people in there. What I will say is there's a couple of things that you should look for if you are joining a mastermind. Number one is that there's people in there that are in front of you and there's people in there that are behind you in whatever journey it is that mastermind is all about. Because I've found the best dynamics in a mastermind is when I'm being inspired by people in front of me that are there, and I'm also helping a few people behind me as well in there, and I'm kind of in that middle bit. The other thing I will say, and this one's a little bit annoying sometimes, is that often the best masterminds you got to pay for, and that's like it's just the nature of what it is. Like some of the best ones that I've been in, I've paid $20,000 to $30,000 a year for. Now that's not to say that there's others that you can't go and find out there where you don't need to pay money for, but you're going to have to put in the work to go and find them and dig into them and create your own out there as well. There is absolutely nothing stopping you from creating your own little mini mastermind or group of peers that you work with. And there's like, even in the tech tribe, we haven't done it recently, but we do accountability group matching where we'll go and just match our members together in groups of 6 or 7. And we've probably matched about 300 groups and probably, 1,200, 1,500 people into groups.
That's amazing.
And some of them don't work out because we don't provide facilitator-led, like paid facilitator-led masterminds at the moment. We probably will in the future, but we don't at the moment. So what we do with this specific one is we just match people into a group of peers that are in a similar time zone, that are facing, like we ask a few questions as you go through the matchmaking process and figure out whether they've got the similar challenge and similar size. And then we match them all into a group. Then we give them some frameworks for how to operate as a group and set up some accountability and whatnot. And we started doing it a couple of years ago, and we've still got some groups that still are they're best friends with each other now. And I see some photos that I get tagged in on LinkedIn now where they're having their meetings at their first industry event, where they all flew to this industry event from wherever they were all around the world, and they're meeting each other in person. And so it doesn't, and those masterminds are free. Like they paid for their Tech Tribe membership, which is a whopping $59 per month. There's a sneaky, bloody cheeky sales pitch in there. And that's it. Like we don't charge them to be in the like we just connect them and that's it. It's up to them to run from up there. And that can sometimes be just enough to get you through a phase in your journey. You might not need the 30 grand mastermind where you are, or the 100 grand mastermind. I've looked at a few at that level, which I potentially will join one of them sometime soon, but you don't need that often in certain stages that you do. You just need some group of peers around you that can hold you accountable and that you can open up to, and you can have that support network around you that you all hold space for each other around a common lingo and language, because we all, especially if you're doing one in the MSP industry, you can kind of talk about the terms and the challenges and whatnot pretty deeply in there, which is awesome. And so if you're not in one, if someone's listening to this and you're not in any sort of peer network group, mastermind, whatever it happens to be, highly encourage you to go out and find one in some way, shape or form. In our industry, we've got groups like in Australia, SMB IT Pro Professionals. In the UK, we've got Network Group. We've got, in the US, you've got ASCII. Sorry, I'm throwing away some competitors to the Tech Tribe here. Well, they're kind of competitors. Like I don't really see as all as competitors, but they're all communities and in-person meetups as well. You've also got things like CompTIA, and then you've got the Tech Tribe and all of these things where they're all very, very, very low cost to get into these things. And if you're not in any, find something and just go and join it and see what it's about and start to build a bit of a network of people out there. And realize if you're like me, when you're starting thinking, holy crap, these people are going to steal my clients and ideas and everything, you get ready for a shock. Like it just doesn't, like you're going to join this world and realize just how loving and friendly and welcoming and sharing our entire industry, bar a couple of minor ones, is. And it's I'm pretty like when I look at our industry as a whole, I think we're lucky that most people have found communities nowadays. Like it's the past couple of years, there's been a bunch of different ones pushing the marketing and whatnot. So lots of MSPs plus the industry events help out with that. But if you're one of those few that is not in any sort of community yet, go and get in something where you can at least ask questions, share, help others. Like you often learn the best by helping others out there.
That's right.
Out there, and so go and find something out there. It doesn't have to be big. It can be small. It can be something that you create. I've created some when I was in my MSP. I created one. I just said, hey, few people that were in one of the other groups that I was in, do you guys want to have a catch up once a month on a Zoom call? Or back then it was I don't even know what it was back then. Probably was Zoom. Do you want to catch up once a month and we'll just have a chat and we'll have a little bit of a framework for it? And we did. We had like 5 or 6 of us or something, and I went for a couple of years, and over time people bounced out and whatever, but we just had this space where we could ask ourselves the deep questions and the tough questions, like this is going on with this staff member, or struggling with growing, or this client kicked me up the butt because of X, Y, and Z and is threatening this. Like, how do I deal with it? And you just get this little group of other people that are just going to help you through some of those tough decisions in there. And it's super beneficial and super helpful. I think everyone in every business should have a group of peers that they've got as their unofficial board of directors and around them, or whatever you want to call it. It is super, super powerful.
Yeah, I found as an owner, I need somebody to hold me accountable, right? And,
yes.
That has helped. And when I was joining the first one, I still have this in bigger ones, but I had a ton of head trash. I was like, I can't help anybody. I don't belong in here. It's like they're gonna, eventually they're gonna figure out that they let this moron in, and they're gonna ask me to leave.
They let the fraud in.
Let this one fraud in. They're gonna throw me out. But like, you really do need to be there. They won't feel that way, is my experience. And no matter where you are in your journey, you can actually help. You've got some unique genius that you can contribute, and you'll be able to help. So even if you're not at the front, which you shouldn't be, kind of like you said, your analogy is being in the middle, there are people that you'll be able to help with certain skill sets. Yeah. So I love tying that together. Have you ever wondered if you could recover your backups? Let me ask a better question. Have you ever had a backup fail to recover? Have you ever lost data? Yeah, that's me. Here's what's crazy. 58% of recoveries fail to recover. So if you think it's just you couldn't be more wrong. What are we going to do about that? Well, you've got 2 options. Enter Servosity. What we do and what we exist to do is test your backups and manage them for you. We test every volume, every single day. We do weekly testing, monthly testing, and quarterly testing. And you can hand off the drudgery and babysitting of backups and the day-to-day management to our team that monitors your backups for you. It's time to level up your backup game. One way you can do that is visit servosity.com/learn more if you'd like to take the process that I've spent the last 18 years building and steal it and apply it to your MSP so that you can level up your backup game. Check out the link below in the description or visit servosity.com/learn more. If you join one of these peer groups, like you said, you will be able to help people. There's some mistake you've made that will be helpful.
100%. Right?
Yeah.
There's not one of us that doesn't make probably 20 mistakes a day out there.
Right.
We're
exactly.
learning lessons all day, every day.
Exactly. Yeah. And I will just say, like, just as a plug, you couldn't, we can blow $100 nowadays easily on all kinds of stuff. And, but anyway, I've been a member more recently of the Tech Tribe, and it's been really cool and insightful. And it's sure you can learn about tech. It sounds like technology being the Tech Tribe, but it's so much more about pricing and sales and culture and operations and just all these other things and the market. And like, using your advice, Nigel, I've tried to join in on discussions and say, I know something about this. Let me join in. Here's my input. Here's my thoughts. So, join and do that is always my advice. And the Tech Tribe, in my personal experience, has been wonderful. And then you get to go ask the question when you need it.
Yes.
And there's a huge community there. That's what's so cool. And it's a very, very diverse community in all senses. I don't know, but it feels like it might be the most geographically diverse of any community.
Probably. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
we're our numbers are like, I think we've got about 60 countries in there, but the 95% of it is made up from the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. Makes up about 95% of our members, with the US being the bulk. I think we hover around 50% for US members, but it's still pretty good representation of all around the world, which is great in the community, because you get to hear all those different little nuances that the different markets have. Although I will say that my caveat on that is that sometimes people in other markets go, that's not possible to, like, they'll hear a US MSP talk about some sort of pricing thing or something, and they go, that is not possible in our marketplace whatsoever. A lot of the time it is. It's just a belief pattern again that just needs a little bit of rewiring in there, and or at least seeing someone else doing it and then going, crap, that actually can be done here. I just didn't realize. And so I think the MSP industry as a whole worldwide is so ridiculously similar out there, and there is minor nuances between different countries and regions and whatnot, but it's nowhere near what a bunch of people think out there. Like, we're always still selling to humans in the grand scheme of things, and those humans have got very core emotional things underneath them, and the platforms and everything that we use to deliver all that stuff is still the same. It's just some minor stuff in there.
Yeah, we all have the same.
It's kind of interesting watching that from
we have the same head trash. We have the same fears.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. I had that exact same head trash until I saw that I didn't have to have that head trash in there. Until you go out and then you go, hang on, I thought I couldn't do that, and I just did.
That's
Stupid Nigel. 2 years ago, why the hell did you have that head trash? Like, you could have saved 2 years if you didn't have that belief thing. But that's the cool thing about as you're working on your mind and you're upgrading your mindset, whatever you want to call it, is that when you do a few of those, like, you start to do some of those things and you bust old belief patterns, you realize that then you look at every belief that you've ever got, even looking forward, and you're always then operating at this kind of meta level of hey, I've got this belief, but is it true? Like, is that belief true? And in the past, you just operated subconsciously, just the belief just sat there and served you. Now I operate quite often in that kind of pattern where I'm sure I've got my subconscious beliefs that I'm not aware of at all that I operate with, but I'm still trying to keep a very kind of a side eye on all these beliefs that I do have, for what ones aren't serving me well, or what ones do need to be inspected, and what ones might not be true out there. And I think the more you smash old beliefs, the more you're confident doing that in everything. And it's like the old the hockey stick growth. Like, for the first, probably going this way across the screen, as you're going through upgrading your mindset, you might not be building your beliefs and your confidence and everything much at all. But then once you start to stack those wins, like the growth starts to go up pretty fast, and to the what do they say, to the right, I think they say in the old hockey stick curve,
or something like that.
Yeah, up and to the right in the old hockey stick curve. So and it's so true with our mindset.
Yeah. I feel like I could talk with you about this forever, but probably not all in one episode. So I want to say thank you, Nigel. This personally has been amazing. This has been a gift to me, and I believe a gift to our community. So thank you for this from the bottom of my heart. This is amazing.
No worries. Thank you for having me on. I always love talking about my journey, as we all do. We've all got the ego that makes us love talking about our journey, but I know that talking about my journey can help other people as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I get a little high out of sharing my stuff, and hopefully it's my mistakes go and help a bunch of other people avoid them and get through those challenging times. Hopefully a little bit better than what I got through my one out there.
Yeah,
we all have them, and we're all going to go through them. And I also, to kind of put a pin in the whole conversation, I also still look back at that horrible period that I went through nowadays with immense gratitude as well, because if I didn't go through that horrible garbage crap, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't have made the decisions that I had to make to get me to where I am today. And so I think even if you are in that horrible, crazy, not wanting to wake up every day thing, just take a mental snapshot of where you are now, because one day you're going to look back at that, and that's going to be you're going to realize that that's the period that grew you. That's the period that took you to the new heights that you're going to be able to go through. You can't have an amazing world and you can't, like, you don't have this comparison if you haven't had tough, rough times in there. There's no contrast between the two. And so even nowadays, like, I think life is always going to be this up and down, but to me, it never goes all the way back down to base baseline. You're kind of going in this upwards curve, but you're always having downtimes as well. And even transparently in the Tech Tribe over the last year, we've had a pretty challenging year because we're going through these growth pains, and I'm learning how to level up as the next level of a CEO. And we're going through all this craziness of 11,000 people in the community and trying to do our best to navigate. And it's been rough, like really rough. But I'm looking at it and going, this is the exact time that we're learning and making the decisions and being what's the saying of being forged in the fire or whatever. And we're just going through that now. So as much as it's rough and it drives me crazy that we're not having the momentum and the speed that I want us to have, I'm still wildly grateful for this crazy time, because I know it's making the next awesome phase that we're going to go through in the business come sooner. So like the decisions we make now and the grit that we have now and the all the beliefs that we're going through now and all of that stuff is and all the challenging stuff that we're going through now is 100% what's going to help us be that next version of the Tech Tribe, or the next phase of the Tech Tribe. And we're probably up to about phase 4 or 5 in the last 7 years that we've gone through. And there's probably another 20, 30, 40 phases in front of us. And they're going to be challenging times through all of them, I'm sure. But we get to look. You just got to take that mental snapshot and look back at it and have gratitude for it in when you're looking back at it and when you're in it. And that's one of the harder things to do is when you're in it, having gratitude for the challenging time. And I guess for me, I've learnt to do that more and more as I've gone through and come out the other side of these times, knowing that each time I get through one, I am going to come out the other side. So just enjoy it. As crazy as it is, enjoy it, and you just keep pushing and making the decisions and whatnot. And
give yourself some grace. Right? Give yourself some grace. You deserve it.
Grace is a good word. Yeah.
It's hard. It's really hard. And you're going to go through it.
It is.
Like you said, that setback is really temporary. And we don't appreciate it, and it's not fun, but the setback is how you get set up for the future. Right?
Exactly. There you go. There's your phrase of the day. The setback is the setup. 100%.
Yeah. Well, Nigel, how can we get connected to you, to the Tech Tribe, that sort of thing? Tell folks how they could get connected to you.
The easiest thing is thetechtribe.com. Everything is there. So it's
make sure you put the.
Yeah, make sure you put a the in front of it. I haven't got enough money to buy techtribe.com yet. Maybe one of these days.
Despite being a member, I've failed to put the on it a few times, and I'm like, where am I? Yeah.
All right. I'm just put on my list here to reach out to whoever owns that now and see whether they're open any offers.
It's a test. If you can get there, that's one of the tests, right?
Exactly.
Following directions.
Techtribe.com. That's where we are.
I love that. That needs to be part of like the commercial. Well, Nigel, Thank you. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
No worries. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, guys, thank you for being on this episode of MSP Mindset with Nigel Moore. We are mspmindset.com/news, and we are live every other week. We are MSP Mindset wherever you social, so come join us and our community.